So I'm going to use a line called nobody's perfect. Write this down. Nobody's perfect. And by the way, interestingly enough, draw attention to the fact that I don't talk about me in any of these. All of these incumbent interjection tools, I never talk about myself because at this point in time, they don't give a damn. They don't care about me yet. They care about them. Here's what nobody's perfect sounds like. Right? And by the way, also draw attention to the fact that your incumbent could be no one. It could be no one. It could be they've never worked with somebody like you before. So if Cody's talking to Mr. and Mrs. Jones, and he meets Mr. and Mrs. Jones at a party, and they strike up a conversation, and Mr. and Mrs. Jones says, oh yeah, I've been with UBS for ages, right? I do all my work with Wells Fargo. And you say, well, they're a good organization, right? Wells Fargo's been around longer pretty much than anybody, right? They were what the Pony Express, I think. So they've been around longer than that. So you're not going to go in like, hey, we've been around longer. So here's what I'm going to say. So Mr. and Mrs. Jones, let me ask you a question. Because, by the way, that's a good organization. They really do a good job. But nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not. You're not perfect. If there's one thing that they could be doing better for you, what would that be? And shut up. If there's one thing they could be doing better for you, what would that be? So before I leave, can I ask you a question? By the way, on a role play, when I say before I leave, before I get off the phone, people are honest with you. You know why? Because they think that if they answer you honestly, when I say before I leave, can I ask you a question? What do they think happens on the other side of you answering that question? I leave. Right? I'm not going anywhere. So I'm going to say, so Mr. Grocer, right? You've been working with your pecan provider for a long time, probably give you great pricing, great service, everything. Right? You know, now, I don't know if I can be of help, but can I ask you a question? They're going to say yes. If there was one thing they could be doing better for you, what would that be? And here's the interesting thing about it. He will tell you what they could be doing better, even though they just told you they were happy. And here's what it'll sound like. Well, I wish they were quicker on their delivery. Right? That seems like a reasonable. If I was a grocer, right, when I'm low on stock, I want it in quick. Right? I wish they were quicker on their delivery. I'd say, well, tell me more about that. Well, from the time that I call them to the time they can actually come is a week. And normally we only call them when our shelves are basically free. Right? There's basically none there. Now, what would most weak salespeople say when a potential prospect has said something disparaging about the incumbent? What would most weak salespeople say? Most weak salespeople would say, Sam, well, you know what, Mr. Jones, if you buy from us, we're going to have it here so fast. It's going to be amazing. It'll make your head spin. In fact, and I love using this line, by the way, you know, we actually employ psychics. We've got 3 psychics, right? It's like Minority Report with Tom Cruise. They're in our back room, and all they do when they come in is figure it out. So they say, hey, listen, they're going to need to order, so even before you order it, we know you need it, so we're going to call you. That's what most weak salespeople do. But we don't know the depth of their dissatisfaction, right? All they've said at that point in time is, I wish my existing pecan provider would deliver faster. So this is what I'm going to say. Oh, okay. So when you called your existing pecan provider and told them you wanted faster delivery, what did they say? Right? No, are we talking about me? Not yet. What did they say? And Sam, if I ask you the question, when you called your existing pecan provider and told them that you wanted faster delivery, what did they say? Well, they could only say one of 2 things, right? What would they say? Well, I didn't call him. That could potentially be one, right? And if he didn't call him, that tells you the depth of his dissatisfaction is not that significant. You're probably not going to get in there on that way. Or he can say, what? I called him. I called him. I told him I want faster delivery. And I'm going to say, okay, well, have they delivered faster? And the answer to have they delivered faster is only one of 2 things. Yes, they have, right? And now we go in a different direction. Or no, they haven't. But see, the beautiful thing about professional selling is I know both sides of the script. No matter what they say, I know the next thing, because I craft my questions very specifically, right? Which John was talking about, very specific questions with dealing objections. Most people ask these insignificant questions, and not surprisingly, they get insignificant answers. If you want better answers, ask better questions. So Mr. Jones, when you told them you were unhappy with the fact that they were so hard in delivering or so slow in delivering, what did they say? Well, they said they would be better. Okay, were they? Well, no, not really. Okay, but that's not going to be enough for you to leave them, is it? And shut up. No, because he could say, well, we've been with them a long time, and they pretty much do everything else okay. Fine, well, I know I'm not going to go that way. But he could also say, well, yeah, if they can't beef up their delivery, we're going to have to find somebody new. And you see how using nobody's perfect went from somebody who was very happy, who said they were happy, now we have an inroad. So, Mr. Jones, if there was a way that I could show you that we could deliver within 48 hours from the time that your order would be placed, would we have something to talk about? Now, I didn't tell them about my organic, I didn't tell them about my pecans. I didn't tell him they were locally grown. I haven't told him anything about us. But now I have found something that's potentially an opportunity for me to go in. Nobody's perfect. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. They're not perfect. If there was one thing that they could be doing better for you, what would that be?